I don't know how many times I can say terrifying in one episode. Like, this is so scary.
Hey there, welcome to the Winx Forever podcast. I'm Lola, creator, host, and lifelong Winx fan. I'm taking a deep dive into the very cool universe of Winx Club. So join me each week as we rewatch and discuss each episode starting with season 1 of the original series. This is the Winx Forever podcast. Friends, welcome back to another season 1 rewatch episode of the Winx Forever podcast, and as always, I am your host, Lola Valentine. In case you're new here, we've been taking a deep dive into the original Winx Club series on this season of the Winx Forever podcast, while comparing the two original English dubs, the Canadian Cinelume dub, or better known as the Rye English dub in the fandom, with the first American English dub by the 4Kids Entertainment Group, the one that I grew up with. And I know we're on episode 23 of this rewatch, and it probably goes without saying, but it is really hard for me to talk about the first 3 seasons of Winx Club without mentioning the, in my opinion, superior dialogue and editing choices made by my childhood dub, the 4Kids dub. So that being said, yes, I completely understand and want you to as well, that like my opinion is tremendously biased. It's a tremendously biased. And when it comes to these dub comparisons, I don't want you to, I just need you to take it with a grain of salt, because yes, I'm going to be biased towards my 4Kids moots. I love meeting other people that love the same dub that I do. But at the same time, I love introducing the 4Kids dub to people that have never truly given it a fair shot. Like, it's just been a very fun time getting to do that with these rewatch episodes for me. So I know I like to say, you know, oh, in the 4Kids dub, oh, but actually in the 4Kid dub, but like that's the whole point. That's the whole point of these rewatch episodes, where we're not only diving into the plots and the character arcs and development of our favorite fairies, but also looking at the differences in the two dubs. So I don't know. Take that however you will, but I'm really enjoying it, and I really hope that you are too. In this episode, it's just you and me, just like old times. I also paused the new Unicorn of War video to record this episode, so I'm using that as my motivation to record this. I kept getting distracted, and I really want to watch that new video of Thomas's, so I'm recording this so that I can go watch that. You know, you gotta treat yourself, and for me, it's watching my friends rant about my favorite fairy show. So, thank you, Thomas, as always. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please go check out Unicorn of War. His YouTube channel will be linked below, but also he just did a rant on probably the most inconsequential movie in the Winx Club franchise, The Mystery of the Abyss. It's the movie that Rainbow produced for Winx Club after their contract with Nickelodeon ran out. So it's a hot mess. I've never fully watched it, only the clips, but I'm very excited to watch Unicorn of War deep dive into that. So yeah, join me in the comment section of that video if you want. I don't know. Something I did want to do, though, in this episode was read through some of your comments from last week's episode that just made me laugh and smile. I think that these are really fun. So Believix in Yourself on YouTube said this about the last episode. They said, quote, "Why can't Brandon and Timmy be best friends? I don't like Sky. I don't like Riven. Brandon needs a different guy to latch on to, and Timmy deserves a best friend. Imagine being Brandon and having to admit that Sky is your best friend. I would be embarrassed.
I don't know a Sky. And Timmy is the nicest. Brandon is nice too. I could not agree more. This comment made me like laugh out, like truly, like I laughed out loud when I read this, and I had to like read it out loud to my brother because I cried laughing so much. This is accurate, very accurate. And I think, yes, Timmy, who would be Timmy's best friend? Because like it's definitely not Riven. It's definitely not Helia, because Helia is kind of a loner. Like his best friend is Flora, honestly. Like I don't really see him interacting much with the other guys like the other guys interact with each other. Like, and we all know that Naboo is Riven's bestie because like they like clicked. Like as soon as Riven realized that Naboo was not trying to make a move on his girl, like they just like automatically clicked, just instant besties. And I love that for them. So yes, Timmy deserves a bestie, and I do think that Brandon would fit the bill because Sky is kind of a self-absorbed narcissist. What? Who said that? Me. Hi, it's me. Yes, I said that. So, wow, you're really getting unfiltered Lola with this comment section thing. Let's move on. Let's go to another comment. This one comes from the Wicked Merman, Chris, over at the Winx Forever podcast Discord community. We actually, in the Winx Forever podcast Discord community, we have a whole section where you can discuss the latest episode of the Winx Forever podcast. And so this is a comment that he left there. And if you would like to, please come join us. It is such a fun time. And I love getting to discuss what we talk about on the podcast with you guys. I'm in there commenting, and it's just a lot of fun. So link is in the description below if you would like to join us in our Discord community. But shameless plug aside, the Wicked Merman says, this was definitely a lot of fun. And again, reminds me of the fun that I had watching the episode with you, Dane, and Dragonfire Princess 7. Shout out Tanya. I hope we can do it again sometime soon. Okay. Yes, though, I want to do some more rewatches in our Discord. So if you don't know, Discord has a really cool capability where you can watch things together. And I would love to watch Winx Club with my Winx buddies. So please join the Winx Forever podcast Discord, linked below, and be looking out for more opportunities to watch more Winx Club content with each other. It's going to be super fun. Chris also said, 4 kids just always had better dialogue, but Bloom, never call Sky baby unless you're a blonde fashionista princess or racially ambiguous squire who impersonates a prince. You can't pull that off. Which, like, obviously we all know that he is referring to Brandon in this instance, and Stella. Like, that is, I mean, that's accurate. That's accurate. So, applause, snaps to you, my friend, for those accurate comments. Thank you so much for being an active part of our community. And yeah, join us over on Discord if you would also like to be an active member of our community. And with that, we are going to take a short break, but when we come back, we are going to dive into season 1, episode 22 of Winx Club. So don't go anywhere. Hey fairy friends, Lola Valentine here. In case you missed it, this year, the Winx Forever podcast launched our very own Discord community. Discord has been a great place to connect with so many wonderful Winxers from around the world to talk about our favorite fairies. I wanted to try and recreate the magic of the original Winx Club online English forums from the old WinxClub.com website. So we've got forums where you can post your own topics and respond to others' posts in every Winx topic imaginable. Click the invite link in the description below to join the Winx Forever podcast Discord community. And remember, the magic's in you.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Winx Forever podcast. Yes, this week I am soloing the podcast. I know it's been a while. It's been a minute since it's just been me on the podcast, and this is, I'm not gonna lie, it feels different. Like, I feel like the last time, I don't even remember the last time, it was early, like in the season that I had. It was like way before this whole arc of the Army of Decay, Army of Darkness, in season 1. So it's been a minute since I've just solo hosted. So welcome. This is what, if you're just now joining the podcast, this is what I am like when I'm podcasting by myself. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of me ranting, because there's no one else here to rant with or back or to stop me. No one can stop me. Okay. So the Cinelume title for this episode is Storming Cloud Tower. Kind of like storming the castle, but like storming Cloud Tower. Fun. And then the 4Kids title is Mission to Cloud Tower, which I think is so funny because the first Domino episode of that 2-part episode was Mission to Domino. And then this episode in the 4Kids dub was called Mission to Cloud Tower. So lots of missions too, sort of thing happening. And then the Italian, we all know Lola's Italian sucks so much. Okay, so the Italian title, dear God, is Il Ritorno di Riven, which is the return of Riven, Riven's return, which is a huge spoiler. Can you spoil an episode any worse than that in your freaking title? Come on, man. You're not supposed to title things that accurately. Anyway, the synopsis of this episode reads, the fairies from Alfea, the specialists from Red Fountain, and their teachers prepare for revenge. Bloom and the gang attempt to enter Cloud Tower from different locations. Riven regrets his behavior and rejoins the fairies group to help save magics. How fun! All right, cool. That, I feel like, sets us up to kind of get into it scene by scene. So let's go. So the episode opens up with the Winx and Specialists returning to Alfea safely from their mission to Domino. They are welcomed back warmly by Faragonda and Saladin. Musa also notices and points out that Kiko has a new friend, but it's Icy's duck. It's a little Pepe. It's a little purple Pepe, and I love him, and I want to protect him, and I wish that he didn't disappear after this season. It turns out, though, that Nut had brought Pepe here and actually has joined their forces against the Tricks. At first, obviously, the Winx are hugely suspicious because this season, like this series, started out with Stella being attacked, just like brutally attacked by Nut and his ghouls in Gardenia Park. Like, this whole series started because Stella's being chased around by this oaf of an ogre, you know? Like, that's terrifying. So, like, to see him, like, that's probably really triggering, honestly, for Stella and Bloom. They've got, like, such a shared, like, traumatic history with Nut at this point. And then all of a sudden, he's just like, oh, I'm good. Like, that's scary. That's terrifying, honestly. Oh, my God. But, and then, like, Faragonda just, like, says, oh, he's on our side now. And it's like, like, okay. You know, like, they're just suddenly okay with it. I don't know. I don't buy it. I think that they probably still don't trust him. Like, a little bit. Just, like, a little bit. It's probably always going to be there. Techno points out that Alfea is becoming quite crowded, and then they are informed about the tragic event at Red Fountain that destroyed it, and that the boys are now staying at Alfea. Faragonda and Saladin warn of another impending battle by the Tricks and tells the Winx that it's time to prepare for another attack. I really did like the 4Kids dub of this opening when Farragonda says that she's glad that they are all safe, as opposed to in the Rye dub, she asks how they're doing. Like, Bish, you know how they're doing. Like, they came back empty-handed from this, like, little field trip to Domino, and, like, they're probably feeling kind of crummy, honestly. Like, ugh. And, like, Sky had to come, and, like, Bloom had to see her, like, gross ex. Like, this is disgusting. So yeah, Farragonda, they're doing great. No, like, I like that she was like, I'm glad you're all safe. Which, like, did you think we weren't safe? Like, did you send us on a very dangerous mission not thinking we were gonna come back, Farragonda? Like, Gonda, my girl, what are we actually doing with these underage students, sending them on these terrifying missions that we're about to send them on another one? Anyway, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Then Saladin asks if their mission was successful in the right English dub. Okay, like, bro, again, like, read the room, same as Farragonda. It was not, and you are not helping with these terrible questions. In the 4Kids dub, Saladin actually asks the guys if they were able to help the girls, and to which Bloom and Stella kind of like, oh yeah, you know, they were a huge help, even though they did nothing to stop the monster. It was all the girls. They just, like, were there for like a minute to relieve them, and then they're like, all right, no, we have actually got it. Anyway, you guys remember the episode, you've watched it. So then Stella and Bloom are like, oh yeah, they helped us, you know, and Stella in the 4Kids dub is like, they should get some major extra credit, and it's, like, really cute, and I really like that. But I do have a serious question here. I was thinking about this as we were recording the last 2 episodes. If Farragonda and Palladium had sent Bloom and the rest of the Winx to Domino through the simulation room, right? Through the magical reality chamber, depending on what dub you watch. They also sent the guys to Domino through opening a portal with the simulation room. Okay? Sure. That's all, whatever. I want to know, if the guys hadn't showed up with their little flying magic spaceship, what was the plan? What was the plan to get them back? Does the simulation, because from what it seemed like, the simulation room is a very one-sided, like, maybe you can only send and there's no coming back. Like, what was the plan to get these underage fairies back safely? Maybe that's why Farragon was like, oh, I'm so glad you're back safe. That's, like, saves me from an awkward conversation with your parents. It's like, oh, sorry, I actually lost them on a deserted planet. Like, absolutely not. Farragonda, I'm surprised that you're even still running a whole school of young adolescent fairies. What the hell? So my guess, though, with this, because, you know, I'm, like, over here workshopping, like, what could have been the solution to this? My guess is that Stella's transportation magic would have been the solution. That is, you know, if she remembered she could even use transportation magic, considering 2 episodes ago she forgot she could even fly. But I digress. You're listening to the Winx Forever podcast. At Cloud Tower's dungeons, Riven has come to terms with himself and his mistakes, and he is pretty much disgusted with himself, but he knows now who his true friends are and hopes that they will forgive him. What this little recap does not bring up is that Darcy and Stormy are, like, watching Riven just kind of sulk in his prison cell, which, like, also, why does the school have prison cells? I know this is, like, the Cloud Tower dungeons, but what the hell? Why does Cloud Tower have dungeons? That's utterly terrifying. The more that I'm learning about these schools, I'm like, where are the boards? The board meetings? Like, what are the board meetings like for these schools? What does the Council of Magics have to say about the handling of these schools? I really would like to know. Anyway, so Riven is sulking in his prison cell in the dungeon in Cloud Tower.
And Darcy and Stormy are like, ooh, let's mess with them. Like, you're not like, you're not busy trying to take over the world right now. You have time to mess with, okay, whatever. But then they send like this disgusting looking monster into his prison cell with him. Excuse me? Scene This scene was not at all in the 4Kids dub, and I was entirely caught off guard with this. Because quite literally, I've never seen this scene before in my life. This monster thing that was supposed to be him, and like his like, oh my god, it's so terrible. It's so like everything in this episode is so scary. Yeah, I feel like I'm watching Winx Club for the first time again with these rewatch episodes. And honestly, it's been super fun too. And I know what the comments are going to say by me saying that. They're going to say like, oh, like it's not the real Winx Club. It's not canon, whatever. Like I know all of that. Obviously, I know all of that. It's my favorite dub of the show. I've been known. Okay. But seeing the right English, it's very jarring, honestly, sometimes. Like this episode is a very good example of how jarring some of the like edits are. Like Mr. like Riven monster dude, don't know him. Scary as hell. No thank you. So Griffin then calls to Riven from her cell, which they're conveniently placed like across the hall from each other, which you would think that they would not put them very close to each other in the whatever. So Griffin then calls out to him and he goes to his prison cell door and he asks like, oh, what are you doing here, Griffin? And like, dude, like same as you. Like, what the hell? Same as you. I also was madly in love with Darcy and like she played me for a fool and now I'm here. That's not what happened. I don't want you to like not watch the episode and think that that's real. That's not what Griffin is there because they literally hate her. They literally hate her so much. So Griffin admits to him that she also made a huge mistake of falling in love with Darcy. And no, I'm kidding. I'm joking. I need to stop making that joke. Failing to see the menacing threat that the tricks were. Like they just weren't like her pupil students. They were a problem and still currently are a problem. But she's, just like really, really hell-bent on just making the best witches out of her students as possible. But my girl, I think you went a little too far. With this batch. You put a little too much spice in there. You know what I'm saying? Riven then decides that he is going to get himself out of there and that he, is skilled in lock picking. So he finds this like conveniently placed like bobby pin, I don't know, like piece of metal that he's able to pick the lock and get out. He also tries to help Griffin get out once he is out, but his lock was way easier than what she's got on her cell, which honestly is like kind of insulting to Riven. Like he really doesn't. He doesn't deserve that big ass lock that they have on Griffin's door. But hers is obviously a much more powerful and magical lock. And she mentions that her students are preparing a potion that will help them escape. In the 4Kids dub, I really liked that, one, that scary ass monster scene wasn't in it. What the hell? And two, that Griffin says that she knows a lock picking spell. Like Riven asks, hey, do you know any lockpicking spells? And so she casts a lockpicking spell to help Riven escape. And I love this collaborative effort from them. I also love this like hard 180 the series makes all of a sudden on their previously prejudiced stance on witches. Like, it's like suddenly they're not all like the slime of the planet compared to everyone else. I guess it wasn't as harsh as I'm making it out to be because we have the Myrta arc showing us that not all witches are like the tricks. And then we see Griffin now in this very vulnerable state. Yeah, and like not every witch is bad news. They just practice different magic than fairies. So like chill. Don't miss an episode of the Winx Forever podcast.
Subscribe on your favorite streaming platform so that you're notified when new episodes are released. So Riven is now out of his cell, and then he hears like this haunting growl on the like end of the hall that their cells are kept at. And even though he's reluctant to leave Griffin just and her students just in their cells, Griffin urges Riven to escape quickly before it's too late, and which is very like horror film vibes. Like, ooh, no, thank you, no, thank you, no thanks. Unsubscribe. But subscribe to the Winx Forever podcast. Don't miss an episode of the Winx Forever podcast. Subscribe to your preferred streaming platform so you're notified when new episodes drop. That was natural. The minions of the Army of Darkness began to chase after Riven. Oh my god. I don't know how many times I can say terrifying in one episode. Like, this is so scary. Riven is then held in like this dead end, and his only escape is this window, which looks like is several hundred feet high from the ground, because you know they are in a tower. They're in the bottom of Cloud Tower, but even that shit is so high up there that this drop onto, mind you, like spiky things from the ground. Oh my god. He jumps out the freaking window. He jumps out the freaking window, plummeting rapidly to the ground. R.I.P. Riven. Rest in peace. Rest his soul, Riven. I'm just joking. That's not what happens. But that's what they want you to think, because drama. But this scene, though, in the 4Kids dub, gold. But the commentary that Riven is thinking through as he navigates his way to escaping, he is recounting the materials that he studied in classes at Red Fountain. And I freaking love it. It makes me so happy. I love the, like, I don't know, just like that insight into more of Riven's character. I think that, I mean, yeah, it's not a scary monster of him reflecting on how, you know, he must think of himself as a scary. No, it's not. It's not that deep, obviously. But I do like that Riven is actually a very studious person. He does pay attention in class. He does, you know, well in school. And him escaping in the 4Kids dub shows all of that. And it makes me happy. Meanwhile, at Alfea, Sky senses Riven jumping out of the window at Cloud Tower for some strange reason. And then Bloom like asks, like, you know, like, is he like, what? And Sky's like, nothing. Excuse me? What? Why did this scene happen? And literally nothing happened in connection with this in any subsequent scenes later. Not Rainbow making connections that they don't ever circle back to. Not them doing that in season 1. Never. Could never be Rainbow. Wow, I am in rare form this episode. I'm not going to lie. I think it has something to do with it's late and I have a Unicorn of War episode to watch. So, let's go. So, Stella, Bloom, Sky, Brandon, Saladin, Cortatorta, WizGids, Nut, and Farragonda. What a group in the. I didn't realize that WizGids was in there. Why is WizGids there? What the hell is he doing there? Like, Griselda isn't even in there. But okay. And also, like, I mean, Cortatorta makes sense, but like, WizGids? My dude, what are you doing there? Ariana, what are you doing here? Incredible. Anyway, so all these people are in Farragonda's office. Cortatorta, Farragonda, and Saladin have accepted Bloom's idea to venture to Cloud Tower and try to retrieve the dragon's flame from Icy, Darcy, and Stormy. I Did she learn nothing from her dead sister at Sparks / Domino? Literally no. But also, Daphne wasn't exactly the best of help in that situation. She was like, what you seek is not here, but something else is here. Your past. Bitch, how is learning about my past going to save the entire realm? Like, this is great and all, but this would have been great, I don't know, like 17 episodes ago. Daphne really chose the worst timing for that, like, backstory there. It's like, cool, that's awesome. Let's get to the part where I get my powers back and kick everyone's booty. But that ain't this episode. That is not this episode. So we're continuing on. Sky and Brandon are completely shocked at the idea, and Sky does not approve at all until Bloom convinced them otherwise, as the flame is part of her and her responsibility. Very noble, Bloom, but also freaking no one is looking for your approval, Sky. Literally, no one cares. Ugh. To think that, like, Sky's opinion matters. Disgusting. All my homies hate Sky. Anyway, on this mission, Nut, who I literally just said, like, is the whole reason why we are here, because the whole reason why Stella was on Earth and found Bloom is because Bloom found Stella on Earth fighting Nut in the park. And now they have, like, probably the shared trauma about this big yellow ogre that is now apparently on their side and they're entrusting their lives with. This could be, in their eyes, this could be just another trick with the tricks. I walked right into that one. This could just be another one of their tricks, right? I can't stop saying it, and it makes me laugh every time, and I'm so sorry. But they begin their mission, you know, once Bloom has convinced the others to go with them. And in the right English, I'm just remembering this, Bloom makes this, like, very funny comment about how, like, oh, Farragonda is like, that's why you didn't want the other girls in here because you're afraid that they would convince me not to go, or something weird like that. And I hated it. I didn't like it. I do like the fact that Sky is completely left in the dark about this whole mission that Bloom is leading. And it also gave me major sexist vibes from Sky when he learns that Bloom came up with this and is also leading the whole mission. Like, dude, get over yourself. Even without her powers, Bloom doesn't need your sorry, lying, cheating ass. Like, next, please. Oh, disgusting. So in the main hall of Cloud Tower, Icy is irritated that Riven decided to leap through a window. However, it was his decision, so she doesn't, like, exactly care that much. And even though Darcy and Stormy wanted to mess with him a little longer, Icy and them decide to point all of their attention and priorities against destroying Alfea. And so they do this weird incantation, like this chant, and it sends a new swarm of the creatures of darkness to Alfea. The chants are always better in the 4Kids. We all know this. They actually say words instead of just, like, gibberish, which I think it's so good.
Let the screams of 1,000 years be heard again, and the terror of the night erase all day. Everything that has rotted throughout all time, rise up now and join the army of decay. Rise up from the deep and destroy everything in your path.
But yeah, they send the whole army of darkness over to Alfea. No, not the whole one. This is not the final wave yet, but it is getting close. So at Alfea, everyone is pretty much preparing for battle, and Bloom is finally telling the other girls about their mission. Musa gets angry, rightfully so, at Bloom's stubbornness, and they all, you know, decide to let her go, I guess. Like, Bloom convinces them, and they all hug each other before saying goodbye. And this touching moment actually makes, wait for it, Tekna, our beautiful robot queen. She's not a robot, but, like, you know what I mean. She's crying. This is so sweet. Please. It literally breaks my, like, I love Tekna the more I rewatch Winx Club.
Truly, she has my favorite character development in the whole franchise, and I will stand by that. Also, just to mention that in the 4Kids dub, the line that Tekna says here,
I can't believe it! You're like actually crying!
Well, it's just that Bloom's chance of survival is so impossibly low.
like, damn, Tech, like, let's, like she's about to go like sacrifice herself for the whole planet. Like, let's give her a little more credit than that. Is she right though? She's just saying what everyone's thinking. In the 4Kids dub also, Musa, when Bloom tells them that like they can only go with 5 and the boys are coming with them.
No, you can't come. You have to stay here and protect Alfea. And besides, we can only go with 5 and the boys are coming.
Come on, the boys, they can't protect you like us.
Like, damn right, Musa. You're so, yes. So another long battle ensues between the forces of good and evil. Everyone is fighting with all of their might. Kiko and Pepe are like running away from the monsters until they're cornered. Thankfully, Cortatorta, of all people, knock out the creature, and a little relieved Kiko faints. It's really cute. And then finally, Tekna, Musa, and Flora all transform to better assist their allies. But like, my question is, why weren't they already transformed at this point? Literally everyone else is transformed at this point. I also love that really cool scene of like Palladium's sword. Do we ever get to see that again? His sword? Like, I love that. Whoever gave Palladium a sword, whose ever idea that was to give him a sword, I want to shake your hand. It's so fitting. And I love cool magical instruments because it looks like he's using magic with it. I love that. Meanwhile, I see a spying on Nut and the crew as they are underground with her gross little icky arachnicam. Disgusting. Stella asks Brandon about his actual position, and Brandon reintroduces himself as Prince Sky's page. Stella reminds him that both him and Sky had lied to her and Bloom, and when Brandon asked if it mattered, Stella responds that they will discuss about it later, and like right now they have to focus on the mission at hand. Yes, queen. This is why Stella will always be that bitch for me. I love her. Like, does this matter? Yes, you lied to both of us. Like, it freaking matters. In the 4Kids dub, the scene was different because instead of him reintroducing himself to Stella, he actually, I think for the first time officially, asks Stella out on a date. Like, up until now, I don't think that Brandon had actually asked out Stella before in the 4Kids dub. So in the 4Kids dub, he goes, after all this is over, want to catch a movie. And then she goes, are you sure you're not a prince? And he's like, nope, just a regular squire.
So Stella, if we survive, want to catch a movie sometime?
Sure you're not a prince?
Yeah, definitely. I'm just an average squire.
Honestly, I've never once dated a non-prince
Guess
before.
that means you don't want to go out with me.
I didn't say that. It simply means that we have to take it one step at a time. Like, we could start with the movie.
Which, like, can you imagine not dating outside of your social and economic, bracket? Like, that's so... Ew. Stella, what? Anyway, I love it. I love everything 4Kids dialogue related, but especially when it comes to Stella and Brandon. Seeing as they are on their way to Cloud Tower, Icy is ecstatic to see that their plan is going well. And Stormy, however, is not, because their troops are starting to fall back at Alfea. Icy knows this, and the reason she is happy is because she wants to defeat Alfea slowly, to let them suffer and to indulge in defeat. And then she cackles at their soon triumph over the win of this war, which, I mean, is pretty diabolical for the Rye dub, especially because you don't get a lot of this type of just like, or this level of evil from the Tricks. I feel like especially because the voice acting is a little flat for my taste. Of course, you know, I'm coming from the 4Kids dub side of things, so like 4Kids dub is very over exaggerated at times, which I love. But in this scene, Icy actually is like talking about how pathetic these fairies are trying to infiltrate Cloud Tower and trying to get back the Dragonfire. And so it's actually very funny that they changed this dialogue for whatever reason. But instead of Icy focusing on their triumph at Alfea, she's actually focusing on messing with Bloom and Stella while they're here at Cloud Tower. And so I think that shift in perspective for Icy, I think it's a good call, because Icy cannot let Bloom just be, you know, she just can't, like, she just has to mess with her this one last time. Like, even though she's not a threat to them anymore, even though, like, she doesn't have the Dragonfire, like, she's just got to, like, poke her one more time. Like, make sure she's really down, you know? Like, that to me is diabolical. Like, yes, the cackling at their triumph over Alfea soon is, like, pretty diabolical, but, like, this, I don't know. There's just, like, it's just a different level, man. Nut, Bloom, Sky, Stella, and Brandon reach part of the underground tunnel where there are 3 tunnels, and Nut assures them that the tunnel he picked is the correct one. Stella, on the other hand, is not convinced because Nut has led them into 4 traps in the past hour, apparently. And she was correct because they were bombarded by, I think in the 4Kids dub, Musa called them puncture beetles, but like it's not like the little one they saw in Cloud Tower earlier in the season. It's like big ones. They're like huge and they're very gross looking. So it then goes into this montage of them just running into disaster after disaster. And then finally they are led to the Cloud Tower garbage dump site, which is outside of Cloud Tower, which they accidentally stumble upon because Nut like broke a hole in the wall. Casual. But honestly, I truly love these underground tunnel sequences. I know I've probably mentioned this on the podcast before, but I still don't know how to explain it. In the first 3 seasons, whenever they are in like this low lighting settings, like either in tunnels or it's late at night, whatever, the coloring, like the color grading in this freaking show is so incredibly good. And I don't know how to explain it other than that. Like, low lighting in the first 3 seasons of Winx Club, the colors just pop for some reason, and they just look so good. That is like you ask me like what my comfort episode of Winx Club, anytime it's nighttime and anytime they're like underground somewhere. I don't know, man. I don't make the rules. It's just how it is. Also, in the 4Kids dub, during the montage of the group following Nut into disaster after disaster in the tunnels, you can hear the instrumental version of the original 4Kids song Mean Girls, which honestly is iconic. So they are in this gross garbage dump trying to help Nut up since he was the one that fell through the freaking hole in the wall. However, they start to hear like this gross like, oh, I can't. They start to hear this gross creaking and quickly get Nut back on his feet. And the Nut smells the things that were making the creaking noises. Yes, he smelled them. Turns out they're beetle roaches. Yes, disgusting, garbage eating, huge, might I add, very large beetle roaches. These things are so big and disgusting. Like, think the nightmare monster, like, at its full form, but, like, a beetle roach. That is so gross. So gross. And also, wait for it, terrifying. If you can count how many times I've said terrifying in this episode alone, I don't know, I'll give you something. I'll give you a gold star. So gross, so terrifying. I legitimately, I think, have had blocked this intentionally from my memory when I heard beetle roaches in this rewatch, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a memory that I suppressed for reasons because they're so gross. Anyway,
I think I might puke.
They'd like that.
so the boys are getting ready to defend themselves, but Bloom stops them for fear of giving their enemies the tip on like where they are. In the 4Kids dub, they actually describe this as like if you kill them, they give off a stench, like kind of like a stink bug. Like if you kill a stink bug, they like emit a foul odor. So Bloom's reasoning was if we kill them, the witches will smell them and know that they're there, which like jokes on Bloom. They already know that they're there, but they don't know that. So Sky agrees and then Nut starts screaming because a beetle roach is trying to freaking eat him. And I can't think of anything more terrifying than a beetle roach in season 1 of Winx Club. Bloom saves Nut by hitting this beetle roach, though, with like a metal rod that she grabbed from a trash pile somewhere, presumably. And Nut thanks her. In the 4Kids dub, he was like, that's not too bad for Earth power or something like that. And I thought that was a good touch. Then the leader. So like the little ones, I use little in air quotes, the little beetle roaches were nothing compared to this ugly big one that then snatches up Sky and is about to eat him when a little like nimble cloaked man jumps on it and zaps it and it flees and the other ones follow suit. And then Sky is like, well, thanks, but who are you?
That was the Queen Roach, so they follow her.
Hey, thanks, whoever you are.
Long time no see, buddy. Riven!
Where have you been all this time?
I can't. It's Riven. It's clearly Riven. It's clearly Riven that has had, like, it's covered in trash. It's a trashy Riven, okay? The unveiling of Riven as the cloaked man is giving strong, a platypus? Perry the platypus, you know, like, it's giving that, but Winx Club. Like, clearly, yes. Clearly. So they continue their way through the tunnels of Cloud Tower because clearly they were not going to get inside by the trash dump. And Sky is very impressed with Riven's skills, utilizing what they had learned from school. They joke a little and start laughing, and Riven then apologizes for his actions, and Sky tells him he doesn't have to worry about it and that they'll talk about it once they have completed their mission, which, of course, we never get to see that conversation. So did it even happen? Probably not. Riven rejoins them and Bloom tells them that Nut has found the entrance to Cloud Tower and another struggle begins. Defeating the witches, which won't come for a few episodes more, Bloom, but like, good on you for being optimistic. I do like the 4Kids dub of the scene. I think it's very touching, especially the part where Bloom like comes up and like puts her arm around both of the guys. Like I love that. It's a very stark contrast to what is it, season 1 episode 8, The Day of the Rose. Like it's very cute and I do love it. I do love it. Also, it's absolutely wild to me that this episode seems so incredibly short. Like, not a ton happened in it. But at the same time, it feels like, and I keep saying this, so much actually happened. And I can't quite tell why that is yet. Like, I think the 4Kids dub of this episode is 17 minutes long, and the Rye English dub of this episode is 18-ish. Give or take. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, these are short episodes because, I mean, it's all setting up for a big finale, and I understand that. But oh my God, it's so short. Anyway, so major events that happen in this episode. Obviously, the Winx and Specialist return from Domino/Sparks. Nut is now on the good side, which we've known he's on the good side, but now like kind of now everybody knows, you know, even the Winx. The Tricks summon the Army of Darkness again. I swear, if we had $1 for every time the Tricks summon the Army of Darkness in this last like few episodes of Winx Club, we'd have like $4. But I mean, you know, $4 is $4. Riven returns looking back on his past digressions and reconciles with the team and joins them to stop Icy, Darcy, and Stormy. And that are the major events of this episode. All right, so I want to hear from you guys. What was your Winx Forever moment of season 1, episode 22? For me, I think that it's got to be, I mean, Riven's redemption arc is cool and all, but it's got to be the part where they are in the tunnels. And it's not just for the lighting. Don't say it's just for the lighting. I think that it's a very cool, like their little escapades in the tunnels is really, really cool because one, it has the conversation with Stella and Brandon in those moments. It has Nut trying to prove himself that he's not like a traitor ogre. Like he's really trying to do what's best at this point. And in the shot of Bloom with her arm around Sky and Riven, I can't tell you what void that fills in my heart, but it does, and I love it. So yeah, please comment if you are listening on Spotify in the question and answer section what your Winx Forever moment of this episode is, and I might share some of them on Spotify and in the next episode. Or if you're listening on YouTube, or if you want to go in my comments on Instagram, or if you want to come in the discussion on the podcast episode discussion in the Winx Forever podcast Discord community. That would be awesome. Let me know what your Winx Forever moment of this episode was and what you thought. So yeah, I mean, that's it for this episode. Wow, not too shabby. I feel like I'm a little rusty hosting by myself, but it is very fun just to talk with you guys one-on-one. And I honestly, it reminds me of when I first started podcasting, and it's crazy to think that it's been almost 2.5 years since I started Winx Forever podcast. We're approaching 3 years. Like that's insane to me. So just thank you for all the fun that this has been and continues to be. And with that said, I will see you back here next week. Not see you, you'll hear me. With season 1, episode 23. So I'm excited to dive in even deeper into this venture into Cloud Tower. So until next week, I am Lola Valentine, and this is the Winx Forever podcast. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode of the Winx Forever podcast, be sure to follow and subscribe on your favorite streaming platform to be notified when new episodes are released. Join in on the conversation when you follow at Winx Forever Podcast on social media. The theme for the Winx Forever podcast is the song She Makes Magic by Big Wild.